I'm Joey.T.Cartoon.P and you're watching the Cartoon Palooza. So, Norm of the North 2. What could have brought me to this point where I gotta review this movie? I'll tell you what. A Patreon requested review, and you, for only $10 a month, can get your own movie that you'd want personally reviewed on the Cartoon Palooza. Other perks include the number of requests that you can use, as well as a credit in the video, including these two. And now we can get on to the video. We didn't think it was possible, we didn't ask for it, and yet, here it is. I feel like Thanos from Infinity War, except instead of talking about the Infinity Gauntlet, I'm referring to Splash Entertainment making a sequel to Norm of the North. I guess it was time for me to look at this film. As I mentioned before in my worst of 2016 list, Norm of the North was my least favorite animated film from that year. On top of the fact releasing it in theaters managed to help the film make enough money to make more sequels. However, instead of burdening the world with a theatrical release, they kept it on home video. While it did have a small run in theaters, it was nothing like the first film. So hopefully the filmmakers learned a lesson the first time, or managed to make things even worse. Well, what would you think after the filmmakers failed to keep the online version private, releasing it to the public months before its initial release? I'd say the guy was fired, but I think he did it for a good cause to avoid people having to pay to watch this movie, though it didn't really help me out because I still ended up having to fork over $10 to watch this thing. Well, unlike the first film, most of the original cast doesn't return for this film, except the Lemmings, who still manage to sound like recycled fart noises. Now, if I were an unmotivated animated movie, how would I begin? Let's see. A dumb pratfall? Badly delivered exposition?
You know, I'm Quinn. This is my bro Chase, and my kid sister Maria. Our dad is gonna be named King today, which makes me a prince.
Or how about that cliche where the son is ashamed of his wacky father?
Do I love him? Yes, but do I think he'll go to New York without embarrassing himself? No.
15 minutes! Barely 15 minutes into this thing, and we got all these cliches. Don't ask me how, but Norm seems to get dumber since the last film. There's a couple of scenes showing how Norm is incapable of going upstairs. Not like getting overwhelmed by going up the stairs, but somehow being around stairs is like a death wish. Is Norm brain dead? I don't feel right making fun of this. I think he's legitimately brain dead. There's a plot in the film where Norm is getting ready to take the title of King of the North, of which lets people see him as a true king and more relatable to the King of the Forest. So much that his own kids don't even think he can pull off the title. Probably because by the last film's logic they were born and fully developed in 3 weeks. Norm is asked to come back to New York by the mayor with a recognizable voice, tiny hands, and abuse of power. Granted, I don't think this is going to be a big problem for many people, but for me, I could see this being one of a million bad Donald Trump impressions in films to come. Sort of similar to how cartoons in the early 2000s decided to give a white dude with big ears and an exaggerated Texan accent as being comedy gold as opposed to clever dialogue and insight.
Don't worry, Norm! You got this! Just imagine everyone naked!
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you've never met this person, and if someone tells you that for the first time, that's not charming, that's like assault. Miss Liberman is one of the new characters we're introduced in the movie, and it's awkward how this rejected model from Food Fight managed to find her way in the film. In fact, I did have a talk with Miss Liberman before making this video to ask her what her thought process was like. Miss Liberman, it's good to have you on the show, it's good to see you.
Why, thank you, Bobby, it's good to be here.
What made you want to make Norm of the North 2?
Oh, it's a funny story. They promised me my own spin-off series focusing on my family.
Wow, what was that about?
Oh yeah, it would have focused on me, my family, my cop husband, and wacky neighbor with his crazy inventions.
That sounds a lot like Family Matters.
No, you don't understand, Bobby. The show would have also introduced my nephew coming from West Philadelphia.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna get back to the review before my audience accuses me of focusing on bad skits.
Oh yeah, pushing me like that? Well, who do you think you are, my grandson? Everybody knows you barely do research on these videos anyways.
Liberman. Yeah, we got a little carried away at the end there.
Gwen, I love you like a son, buddy.
I am your son.
Look at the kid. He's staring back at his father like, the hell you mean? You think that's funny, you knockoff Madagascar prop? Gonna knock your cheap Yogi block off the Jellystone, you keep that crap up! We eventually learn how Norm is framed for stealing money from all the major banks in the city, with video surveillance showing Norm at the act of the crime. Which wouldn't undercut a scene earlier where people walk around in lifelike Norm costumes, making the mystery seem even dumber. They hit up one more bank, which once again introduces us to a new character in the film. A Chinese talking hare who owns a bank. So I guess that technically makes him a billionaire. The funny thing about the character is that despite being a lazy caricature, I do give the film credit for not giving the Chinese character an exaggerated Asian accent. Some credit. It's sort of like walking to the world's dirtiest porta potty with some Febreze. It's not going to do any good. They eventually find out who's behind the crimes, and before you know it, the movie ends. Not even kidding. Totally ends off, shows the family going back to the Arctic, and they live happily ever after. And that's Norm of the North 2, Keys to the Kingdom. While I think the movie was unnecessarily made, Wait, why are we cutting back to the film? Wait a minute, the movie's not over yet? But, I mean, I feel like everything is resolved. Like, why? Oh well. So just like the first film where the movie teases you 10 different endings, the movie didn't even get into its second plot. That's right. The movie had a second plot because they couldn't find a way to make a story about getting the keys to New York City a full movie. Instead, we get a story where Norm's brother inadvertently sells the rights to their ice to Stalin and his ice hockey team. And then, I kid you not, the movie turns into Space Jam. Norm has to help his brother, who suddenly turns into a real jerk in this film for no reason, to save their homes in a no-holds hockey match. They manage to steal lines from Rocky IV.
If I can change, then you can change. Everyone can change.
If I can change, then you can change. Everybody can change.
And the worst thing about all of this is that amongst all these crappy CG models, we get one peripheral character that manages to look like an actually good designed cartoon character. How is it that all the original characters look like crazy, stupid knockoffs, and yet this one character actually looks like a decent model? Why does it stick with that? Do I really got anything else to say about this? No? No? Alright, let's just go on to the rating. Forget about it. So my question for the film, what is the worst direct-to-video movie you've ever seen? Comment below and let me know what you think. It's always fun making these videos. Subscribe to the channel. I'm Joey.T.Cartoon.P, and thanks for watching this review on the Cartoon Palooza.